Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, Americans house hunting in illegal settlements in the West Bank.
That land does not belong to them. It belongs to Palestinian families that's been there for generations.
U.S. law says these Jewish-only real estate fairs are illegal. So why aren't authorities putting a stop to it? I'm Kevin Hurton, and this is The Take. A perfect and pastoral location. That's how real estate agency Keller Williams Israel advertised a house on its website. Only it wasn't in Israel. It was in the occupied West Bank.
Since October the 7th, Israel's government has accelerated the approval of several illegal settlement projects in occupied East Jerusalem.
They're going in and carrying out conflict and war in Gaza. They are carrying out brutal raids in the occupied West Bank. And while the world's attention is elsewhere, they are scooping up more and more Palestinian land and claiming it as their own gross violations of international law.
Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories are illegal under international law. Yet that's not stopping Israelis from selling homes there to American Jews. Recently, things boiled over in Teaneck, New Jersey. There, synagogues are hosting real estate fairs, encouraging members to buy property in Israel and occupied West Bank settlements. They call it redemption of the land, or coming back home.
For generations, people have yearned to return to our homeland. Now, it's finally happening. Our people are finally coming home. Whether you're coming on Aliyah or looking for an investment property, you are about to fulfill a lifelong dream.
My Zionist brainwashing was so thorough that I still believed all of the lies that I had been told.
Rich Siegel has been fighting to stop illegal settlement activity.
I am a freelance musician and music teacher, and sometimes I'm a political activist. I'm in Teaneck, New Jersey.
So, okay, Rich, that's where I want to start. Tell me about Teaneck. What's it like?
Teaneck is actually a nice place to live. It's an inner suburb of New York City. It's a very mixed town. There are people from a lot of different backgrounds that live here. However, there is a very large modern Orthodox Jewish population, and they basically serve as a pipeline of support for the settlement movement on the West Bank and for right-wing Zionism in general. So they are a presence here, and a disturbing one, I would add.
So, Rich,
Yeah.
You're in New Jersey,
I am.
more than 5,000 miles away from the Middle East, yet you find yourself in a pitched battle over Israeli settlements in the West Bank. So
Yeah.
how did your little town get involved in all of this?
Well, I should preface my answer by saying that the American Jewish community and our government generally is the reason that Israel exists. Communities like Teaneck are very active in supporting Israel, and right-wing Zionist communities like the one that exists in Teaneck are additionally involved in bolstering up the West Bank settlement movement. And so I think it's fair to say that the conflict exists here as well and is perhaps rooted here as much as it's rooted there. And so the physical distance is not as relevant as you might think.
So in terms of this story here, when did that first kick off with these property fairs?
Well, I first became aware that there were real estate events here in Teaneck back in 2007. And I only became aware because I happened to be reading the Jewish newspapers here and saw this ad for this real estate event and investigated the event a little bit and found out that, wow, they are actually selling West Bank settlement homes directly to Jews here in Teaneck, New Jersey. And I said, this has to be illegal. and it's certainly immoral, and I have to try to stop it. And I did. So that was the first time that I organized a demonstration. I tried to stop it in other ways. I mean, I made calls to everyone from the local police to the FBI, and I really found out that absolutely nobody was interested. So I organized a demonstration, and that's the first time I did that. And they've been going on pretty continuously ever since.
The difference is that now people are noticing.
Now people are noticing a lot more, and they're noticing more because they're noticing the issue more since the October 7th incident and the genocide that's been happening ever since. And they're noticing a lot more because I gave a talk in front of the Teaneck Town Council back in February, and that little 3-minute talk went viral.
What this real estate event is going to do is it's going to fan the flames. If it goes forward, there will be a demonstration. I know there's going to be a demonstration because I'm going to organize it.
Can you tell me a little more detail about these fairs? What are they like? Who's putting them on? Who's attending them?
Well, actually, I can, because I went to one undercover, and that one was not here in Teaneck, New Jersey. It was in Woodmere, Long Island, in New York, which is another community that has a significant Orthodox Zionist community. And I went to that event undercover, pretending to be a potential customer, a potential real estate buyer. And I went with a female friend who pretended to be my wife, and we went as an Orthodox Jewish couple. And we were invited into the basement of a synagogue, and we were led. There were a series of booths where there were sales representatives giving talks to different customers. So we were led to a booth where a sales representative gave us a sales pitch about available real estate. And we pretended to be interested in a home in a condominium in a West Bank settlement. And we were given a sales pitch about that. I am quite sure we could have signed on the dotted line. And that's relevant because people who are defending these events are saying that the real estate isn't actually for sale. It's just information that's being given. In my experience, they're being sold. At the point where we could have signed on the dotted line, my fake wife and I produced Palestinian flags out of my backpack and said, "This is why we're here." And we were promptly kicked out. And and they threatened to sue me, which they never did.
What is it specifically that offends you so much about these fairs? And why do you think they're so immoral and maybe illegal?
Well, maybe illegal. We can verify that they're absolutely illegal. An attorney prepared papers, a cease and desist order, and delivered it to the Jewish community here in Teaneck, delivered it to a rabbi here who has positioned himself as a leader in the Jewish community. And I'm informed that in these legal papers, 22 laws have been cited that are being violated. And those laws include New Jersey state law, American federal law, and international law. So 3 categories of law, 22 laws, all told, are being violated by these real estate events. So the work I'm doing here is to expose illegal and immoral activity promoting illegal West Bank settlements here in New Jersey. And in addition to promoting illegal West Bank settlements, it's illegal for them to sell even the real estate that's within Israel, because most of that real estate is for sale for Jews only.
Yeah.
And we have laws here that prevent what used to be known as redlined real estate. I mean, back in the bad old days of racial segregation in the United States.
Restricted covenants.
Yeah. Realtors had maps with red lines, and the red lines indicated, on this side of the red line, it's only for sale for white people. Okay, you can't do that anymore. Well, that's exactly what's happening with all or most of the real estate that's being sold at these events, even the real estate that's not the West Bank settlements, the real estate that's within Green Line Israel, a lot of that is for sale for Jews only, maybe all of it.
Rich, what was that feeling like when you knew that you, a Jewish guy from New Jersey, were just seconds away from signing your name on a line and could have access to land in the West Bank? Land that is fought over and has been fought over for centuries.
Not for centuries. Not at all for centuries. And that's
for decades.
Decades. That's a really important point. And I'll answer your question, but first I want to address what you just said, because Zionists want everybody to believe that this is an ancient conflict, and it's not. I mean, Muslims and Christians and Jews all lived together on that land for many, many centuries. It's only since the Zionist movement was initiated by European Ashkenazi Jews, starting with Theodor Herzl in 1895 with his book Der Judenstaat, that set this off. So it is a conflict that's it's more than a century old at this point. Really, intensely 76 years old. But it's absolutely not an ancient conflict. How did it feel to me? It felt stupid. I mean, why should I have access to real estate? I mean, just because of the circumstance of my birth. I can settle on the West Bank and be given incentives to do so. I can become an Israeli citizen immediately. Okay? When Muslims and Christians whose families have been there for many centuries not only don't have the same rights that I do, but are being mercilessly slaughtered at this very moment. So it's an obscenity. And it gave me great pride and pleasure to be able to pull a Palestinian flag out of my backpack at that moment.
Why do business at a religious building? That's after the break. These property fairs, just like the homes that they're selling, are not available to everyone, right? They're restricted to only Jewish people, and they're being offered inside synagogues.
Correct.
It just bears repeating. Does that surprise you to see real estate in Israel being sold inside houses of worship inside the United States?
I'm really glad that you asked that, because there's a reason for it, and I found out the reason. Going back to the very first demonstration that I organized, it was at B'nai Yeshurun Synagogue here in Teaneck, New Jersey. And the rabbi at the time was Stephen Pruzansky. And he wanted me to know that the reason that these real estate events are held in the synagogue is because he feels that the redemption of the land is a religious duty. And he wanted me to know that not only are these events held in the synagogue, he was having this event in the sanctuary of the synagogue, in the place where religious worship happens.
Teaneck is a very diverse and a very divided town. You used to have a Muslim mayor. There's currently an Orthodox Jewish deputy mayor. I wonder how October 7th and what's happened subsequently in Gaza changed things in Teaneck.
Well, October 7 led to a pro-Israel resolution being passed by our town council. We have one town council member who is, I would say, an over-the-top histrionic Zionist, who since October 7th has become way more of an activist for Israel than she is an active council member. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. But she took it upon herself to write an anti-Hamas, pro-Israel resolution. And she brought it in front of the town council. And very unfortunately, it passed.
On October 17th, I sat in the building right behind us condemning the terrorist group Hamas as out-of-town protesters were shouting the genocidal chant, "From river to sea, Palestine will be free." And I was shaking with fear, thinking, these people are calling for our death.
So the Jewish community acted like there was this huge resurgence of what they call anti-Semitism. In my opinion, there was no anti-Semitism at all. There were demonstrations against illegal real estate events. So we've had a series of demonstrations, and we've also had a lot of car rallies where people drive through the town waving Palestinian flags and honking.
We're simply 20, 30, 40 cars driving by the town. That alone is driving them nuts. You get people from all walks of faith, all religions, all races. You know, they say we're the violent ones, we're the ones citing hate crimes. We're just driving through town peacefully, and this is how we get attacked. It was a perfect example.
So the Jewish community has been complaining that they are under siege by anti-Semites.
Okay, Rich. So then you go to local authorities, and ask them to step in, but it looks like they've already taken sides and it's not yours. So tell me how that unfolded.
The police force here, it's a suburban police force. They're not used to that kind of controversy. We did have an incident this summer where there was going to be another illegal real estate event, and I was organizing a demonstration against it. And the police department got in touch with me and told me that the real estate event was canceled and would I cancel my demonstration. And I responded to them, well, I'm going to need proof of that. So they sent me an email from the real estate company stating that the event was canceled. And so I viewed it as a big victory, and I canceled my demonstration. And the real estate event went on as planned. The police insist that they didn't lie to me, that they were lied to by the Israeli real estate company.
Okay.
And that's the upshot there. So what I learned is that I'm not going to believe them anymore.
And where's the township council in all of this?
The township council, they listen to me when I come in and speak. There are many other people who speak. During this genocide, there have been members of the Muslim community who have come into town council meetings just to read off names. And I should mention that at one meeting, a local woman started reading off names of infants that were killed before their first birthday, and she had 3 minutes to do it. In 3 minutes, she couldn't get beyond the first letter of the alphabet. And that was deeply disturbing. So my impression is they just don't want to be bothered, you know.
I wonder if you've seen any change. I know we talked about how in 2007, no one paid any attention to this, and now people are.
Correct.
And that's positive. But have you seen any difference in your community? Do you feel like you've been able to convince other people in the Jewish community possibly to join your fight and to put an end to this practice of selling real estate in the West Bank?
I think that there's been an absolutely huge difference. Not only in this community, but in this country. I mean, people are awakening to the Palestinian cause. When I first got started in this issue, if I said I was supporting Palestine, people would look at me cross-eyed and say, are you kidding? You know, you're supporting terrorists, you know? And especially with this genocide this past year, people understand that Israel is the terrorist, that Palestinians are innocent civilians who are being robbed of literally everything, including, in many cases, their lives. So in Teaneck specifically, the Jewish community, the Zionist community is most of the Jewish community, and they're kind of like a hermetically sealed bubble. They regurgitate their own lies, and they haven't changed at all. They've become totally defensive. But I think in a really big way, people are waking up to the just position that the Palestinian cause has.
Rich Siegel of Teaneck, New Jersey, thank you for coming on The Take.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
And that's The Take. So, what are your thoughts on these Jewish-only real estate fairs? Well, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to catch more episodes like this, make sure you're following our YouTube playlist. That's where you'll find our recent content updated regularly, so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so you'll stay in the loop with all things Al Jazeera English. See you tomorrow.